Right, okay, so I'm actually going to be talking to you about scales of production. Scales of production is the quantity in which products are actually made. So that goes from making just one product to being a product being continuously made. I'm going to start with one-off products or job or bespoke products. So bespoke, when we think about it, is actually you think about suits. That's because when you have a bespoke suit made for you, it is made to your exact requirements and your exact measurements. One-off dictates that it's only one that is being made. That's being made by one individual. They do every single job of manufacture for your product. That means that they are highly skilled individuals. They will want to make sure that it's the best quality finish possible for you. One-off production can be anything from a suit to a bespoke piece of furniture to a wedding cake. They generally tend to be a lot more expensive as items because obviously you are paying just one person, and the materials that they use tend to be of quite high quality. And that's one-off job or bespoke production. The next thing that I'm going to talk to you about is batch production or flexible manufacturing systems. Now, batch production means that you make a product to a certain quantity. So it's normally from around about 50 to about 200. Batch production works slightly differently in a sense that one person doesn't make your product all the way through like they would do in one-off production. It works on an assembly line. Now, as we've heard before, the assembly line was in fact introduced by Henry Ford for making cars. But batch production can cover any kind of product as long as it's within a certain quantity. What happens is that you will have somebody complete one job and pass the product on to the next person. So for instance, in textiles, you might have one person who is cutting the fabric. It would then be passed on to the next person to pin it, and the following person after that to start sewing. Everybody has a specialised job. In food technology, you might find that one person may well be beating the eggs where another person might be sieving flour. It's breaking down the stages, and every single person has a different job to do. They repeat that job over and over again until all of the products have been made. Batch production generally needs people to have a high level of skill. Not as high a level as one-off or bespoke production, but people need to be able to use specialist materials, specialist equipment to a high level. That means that they're paid a little bit less than people who make one-off products. However, they are still paid a relatively large amount. Now, the next type of production we're going to talk about is actually mass production. Now, going back to what Henry Ford did with the production line is he set up a production line so that he could make large quantities of products. Now, that's really what mass production is. You are making a large quantity, so higher than 200 of the same product. You are doing the same job over and over again. However, whereas you would rely on individual skills, such as being able to use a sewing machine for batch production, mass production becomes a lot more automated. So, people will not need to be able to use the equipment to a high level. It might be more of a case of just assuring that the product is removed from the assembly line at the right time. That means that the people who are working and producing mass production goods are paid a hell of a lot less than people who are doing batch production or one-off production. Because there is a higher level of automation, which means that a lot more is done using computers and robots, the cost of plant, so the cost of equipment, is a lot higher. So it would take a lot more to establish a mass production factory than it would to establish a batch production factory. Now, continuous production is very similar to mass production, apart from the fact that it uses predominantly CAD/CAM. So continuous production is where production is run 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the entirety of the year. The level of skill needed for the workers is very low, because quite often all they need to do is actually press a button. They don't need to do anything else. They are just there to monitor the machines and to make sure that they are running correctly. Continuous production as well, because there is a low level of labour cost, there is also quite a high level of plant cost, so machinery cost, like mass production. Continuous production as well also covers products that are constantly in use. So for example, in food technology, quite often when you buy a ready meal, it will come in a plastic tub. Those plastic tubs are in continuous production because they don't need anybody to monitor what is going on, and they are in constant use and need.